it's definitely harder to leave than it is to stay. And it changes everyone's life and forever, you know? So you really have to like take your time and wait and see if there'll be changes.
The need to like not talk about it and protect it for my kids. And I always will feel that way. But like, God, if people knew, I just would never do that.
The drama between Kim Kardashian and Kanye West never seems to slow down, and the latest chapter hits closer to home than ever. Kim recently spoke up about something that's been quietly building behind the scenes: Kanye being mostly absent from the lives of their kids. North, Saint, Chicago, and Little Psalm haven't been seeing their dad like they used to, and Kim made it clear she isn't the reason for the distance. She's been the constant, keeping their routines, school schedules, and activities together, while Kanye's presence has been inconsistent, leaving gaps in their children's everyday lives.
Toxic relationships.
Yep.
Since I've been divorced, you know, like I feel like that dating world is so, like from what I remember it would have been like, I would have been way younger. And like, I think when you get older, you just don't tolerate that shit.
For years, Kanye's life has been a whirlwind of tours, recording sessions, fashion ventures, and business deals. While he's grinding in the public eye, the children's lives at home require more stability than his schedule allows. Kim has been handling that stability, making sure each kid feels supported and loved, even during long stretches when their father hasn't been around. She has welcomed Kanye's visits, even flying the kids internationally when asked. But months have passed without him reaching out or showing up consistently. This isn't a new issue. Over the years, Kanye's involvement in parenting has been unpredictable. There have been times when he appeared hands-on, taking the kids on trips or posting moments with them online, but other times, weeks and months would go by without contact. The inconsistency has been noticeable to the family itself. Kim tries to schedule time and structure, and Kanye's presence fluctuates depending on his career demands and personal life. Adding to the tension is Kanye's behavior with the rest of the family, especially Kris Jenner. Over the past few years, conflicts have emerged over how the children are raised, school schedules, and family interactions. Kanye has often expressed frustration.
5 Lamborghinis and I'd come home and they'd all be gone, you know, if he was in an episode. And I'd be like, oh, wait, where's all our cars? Like my new car. And it would be like, oh, he gave them away to all of his friends. And then I'd be like, huh, okay. And then I'd come home again. And at a different point, we had, you know, 5 more Lamborghinis. And then I'd wake up in another episode and they'd all be gone again. And that time I was like, keep them, guys. You know, like, I don't know what to say.
Feeling that his voice isn't heard or that decisions are made without his input. This tension has occasionally spilled into very public arenas, but even behind closed doors, it has affected family dynamics. Most recently, Kanye took his frustrations further by making comments about the children publicly. He went live and criticized North's clothing choices, using it as evidence that Kim was supposedly failing as a parent. The situation was unusual. Rather than addressing concerns privately, he chose to make a public statement, turning a normal parenting choice into a point of contention. The combination of Kanye's career, public statements, and private frustrations has made co-parenting unusually complicated. Legal custody arrangements exist, and Kim facilitates every opportunity for the kids to see Kanye, including international travel when he requests it. Still, the day-to-day reality remains that Kanye's presence is inconsistent, and his occasional public criticism adds tension to the family dynamic.
Can't really explain, why things are the way they are, but she tries as much as she can as a parent. Like, she doesn't speak bad about him to the kids. She plays his music whenever they want to hear music. She does all the things that she can, to the point where North has said to her mom, you don't got to pretend to us. We know you're sad. We know what's going on, because North is older. But she says she tries to do everything she can.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, Kanye not seeing his kids in months. How do we know he hasn't been going through an episode?
Right. Yeah.
We don't even know what Kanye is. I haven't seen Kanye online or anything like that. And, you can't have a healthy relationship with a person if a person isn't mentally healthy themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you say that he'll take the distance. I think it's good that he takes the initiative to take that distance, because he knows he's not in his right mind to be around his kids.
Kim's role has become even heavier, managing 4 children, their schooling, their emotional needs, and their routines, while also balancing her own business ventures and public life. Kanye's mental health has also played a role in this pattern. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, there are periods when he becomes withdrawn or unpredictable, affecting his ability to maintain steady involvement with the kids. During these times, Kim has stepped in to ensure the children have structure and care, trying to minimize any impact from the absences or erratic behavior. Even when Kanye does engage with his children, the moments are often fleeting and inconsistent. Sometimes he shows up for visits or special events, but other times, weeks go by without any contact. The sporadic nature of his involvement, combined with public critiques of parenting choices, like the incident with North's clothes, creates an unusual and often stressful environment for the family. Kim has remained focused on providing stability, but the absence of a consistent father figure is a recurring issue that the kids live with daily. The tension between Kanye and Kris Jenner has been one of the more subtle yet persistent threads complicating family life for Kim and the kids. On the surface, Kris is known as the matriarch who keeps the family together, a figure who has guided her children through careers, relationships, and public scrutiny. But behind the scenes, her approach to family dynamics, especially when it comes to ex-partners, has added layers of complexity that Kanye has often struggled with. Kris has historically maintained amicable or at least functional relationships with her daughter's exes. She worked closely with Kourtney's former partners, even when the breakups were messy, ensuring that co-parenting and family events ran smoothly. The same applied to Khloe's past relationships and Kendall and Kylie's brief high-profile connections. Kris tried to create an environment where exes could still participate in family events without friction. For Kanye, whose sense of control and influence over his family is particularly strong, this approach has sometimes been a point of tension. While Kris was welcoming and open to Kim's ex-partners after she moved on from Kanye, Kanye often interpreted these gestures differently, feeling as though boundaries were being crossed or that his influence was being diluted. It wasn't just a matter of personal pride. Kanye sees family through a lens of loyalty, legacy, and control. And observing Kris navigate relationships with Kim's exes in a calm, neutral way sometimes clashed with his expectations of how he believed the family should operate. Even small gestures, like Kris attending events with a former partner or acknowledging their role in her grandchildren's lives, could be perceived by Kanye as undermining his authority or highlighting his own absences. The tension became even more pronounced after Kim began dating again following the divorce. While the relationship itself was a personal decision, Kanye interpreted the new dynamic as a shift in the family hierarchy. Kim was moving forward, establishing a new life, and in many ways asserting independence. But Kris maintained her typical stance. She supported Kanye even as Kim's personal life evolved. Kris continued to encourage interactions between Kanye and the kids, and in some instances, acted as a buffer, making sure he still had opportunities to spend time with them. The intersection of Kanye's sporadic presence, his frustrations with Kris, and the shifts in Kim's personal life created a highly complex environment for the children. The kids experienced the unpredictability of their father's engagement, the careful mediation of Kris, and the constant attention and guidance of Kim. Even without fully understanding the reasons behind the tension, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm were directly affected by the inconsistency in schedules, public criticisms, and underlying stress in adult relationships. This made Kim's role as a steadying force all the more critical, as she had to manage not only the children's day-to-day needs, but also the emotional fallout from conflicts she had no direct control over. At the end of the day, the Kardashian West family is one of the most complicated dynamics in Hollywood. If you've been following this story, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you don't miss the next tea spill, and drop a comment. What do you think is really going on with the kids and their dad? We will see you in the next one.